Welcome back to another act. I'm your host, Kelley Carter, joined today by one of the best working actors in Hollywood, Don Cheadle. Don't look behind you. It's you. It's you, Don Cheadle. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Glad to be here in my own chilling.
It's chilling at home. I was going to ask, first question, how are you and your family doing in all of this lockdown?
We're fine. It's just me and wifey and the two dogs, and we've been, doing our walks through the neighborhood. My grown kids are living miles away, haven't really checked in to see how their parents are lately. So it's, yeah, exactly. It's par for the course. So at least some things are still working in the world.
Some things feel normal. Well, one of the benefits, I guess, if we can call it that, of being home is that we get to take in all of this great content, including Black Monday. I mean, what can I say? Mo is a phenomenal character. You were rightly nominated for an Emmy last year. Tell me a little bit about this second season.
Well, this second season, I think, is going to be even wilder than last season.
Oh my God.
It's wild, I know. We kind of dropped a bomb in the middle of the show and just blew people to all corners of the earth. So it's really now about seeing how and when these guys are going to get back together and under what auspices and, what are the little allegiances that are going to be made and who's enemy, and everybody's still very stab you in the backy. So it should be a lot of fun.
One of the things that I love about this show is that you're an executive producer on it. What does that how does that translate for your front of camera work, having that kind of a stake in the show?
Well, I think, by the time we're actually shooting and we're in the actual physical production and principal photography, a lot of that work has already been done. A lot of the casting's been done. We've hired the directors because, obviously in a show like this, it's great to keep as few as you can. And we'd love to have one director do the whole season, but that's very rarefied air. So
I also have to say, I love Mo's new hair at the beginning of this second season. Looks better than mine when it's relaxed. Tell me a little bit about going back and revisiting some of these 1980s hairstyles and fashion.
Well, that's always, I think, the fun of this show, especially being in a period like the 80s where there's just so much to send up. I mean, the 90s too. I'm sure we're going to look back at this time period and people are going to be like, you guys were doing what?
Yeah.
It's great to always have that sort of distance. Our producers and writers are fond of saying the show gives you the opportunity to often show how far we haven't come. And to see what we thought was really hip then, this Verdine white look that he's coming out with, really the way to be. I mean, in his defense, he's hiding out, so he can't look like Mo regular. He's got to be Mo 2.0, I guess. But that was some of the fun too, and figuring out with the camera department and the hair and the makeup department, like what are we going to be going for? What are we going to be sending up? How are we going to transition from Mo in New York to Mo in Miami to Mo back in New York? What are these looks going to be?
You have quite frankly co-starred in some of the either most critically acclaimed works of all time or certainly some of the biggest blockbusters of all time. What does it take for Don Cheadle to say yes to a project? What types of things are you looking for at this point in your career?
For me, it's always started with the script. It always starts with the character. And is this somebody that I want to spend a lot of time being and preparing myself to be? And then the cast and the director, obviously, and the people that you're going to be spending all this time with. And is this something that we want to push into the world, and why push it into the world now? And all of those things really come to bear. And with a script like this, with a project like this, when I was reading the script, it genuinely cracked me up. We have the opportunity to talk about race on the show. We have the opportunity to talk about gender and sexual identity. And we have a lot of opportunity to talk about the glass ceiling. So we get to really do a lot of stuff while we're sending up the era and we're sending up, each other. And to work with these group of actors, with Regina and Paul and Andrew and Casey. And we just have a lot of, were a lot of great pieces and a lot more reasons to say yes than there were to say no.
Something else you said yes to. I just want to know, are you guys all done with the principal photography for Space Jam 2?
We believed pretty certainly that we would be back to do reshoots and maybe additional photography, not only reshoots, but actually things that we were going to, additional photography. But at this point, Rona's sort of determining what what's
Yeah.
going to happen. We'll see
Yeah.
what he says.
What was it like working with LeBron James?
Great. During the shooting, I was saying, you could be much more of a diva than you're being right now. I mean, I don't know if it's so clear about his work ethic and his idea about team and how he wants to just be one of the dudes that's doing the thing. And he was really, really just a joy to work with and very thankful to be there and humble, and wasn't trying to say that he knew stuff he didn't know. If he didn't know stuff, he'd be like, I need help. I don't know what's going on.
Wait. So you just told me that you gave LeBron James an assist?
I gave LeBron several assists during the day.
There you go.
CJ's first thing too. So, but they both brought so much to it. And I think people are going to be very pleasantly surprised at how committed and how much acting they're really, doing in it. He's not just in there as a stunt cast. He's really an actor.
What made you want to do that film in particular? I know that you're a big fantasy football fan. I don't know about NBA, but what made you say yes to Space Jam 2?
Again, I thought the script was cool. Was a cool concept. And the opportunity to work with LeBron in a very iconic, piece like him, and to do the next one, there was just, again, a bunch of upsides to it. But the script and, Ryan Coogler produced it, and that kind of pedigree behind the camera. It was, again, many more reasons to say yes than to say no.
What are you marathoning, or what are you revisiting in this downtime?
So, I'm still working, and we're still having my production company, still having a lot of Zoom meetings like this. But I did get through all of Better Call Saul, which I never watched the first time it was out, which is great.
Ooh, yeah.
And my wife pulled me into the dark hole of Love is Blind. There's always a moment in the show where I turn, I look at her, and I go, what are we watching?
What are we watching? And when is the next episode coming on?
When can we get to that?
When can we get to it? The people that are tuning in to shows like Love is Blind right now, it makes me happy to hear that Oscar-nominated actor Don Cheadle is watching Love is Blind. What is something that maybe you started doing now in this downtime that you wouldn't mind continuing, after we're released back into the wild?
Just basically just a lot of excuses for you to drink, I think is what.
Yes, a lot of alcohol is consumed, yeah.
I'm trying to temper that down a little bit because we got another month at least in here. Yeah. And I do want to come out of the other side of it with a liver and an addiction I have to deal with. So I'm mixing that up with, other edibles and things. But a lot of home projects that started to, put on the schedule. Like, we got to get in that home office. We got to clean that out.
I love it. I also hope that means we're going to get a good TBT photo from Don Cheadle back in the day that gets posted to Twitter too, from all this spring cleaning.
I didn't even think about that. I've got to look back at a TBT here and throw that on.
Don Cheadle, thank you so much for joining me for another act. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Continued success, and look forward to watching much more from you in the years to come.
Thank you. Stay safe, stay at home, wash your hands, don't touch your face, watch Sam Jackson, read the book. He tells you all.
Yes. And lots of hand sanitizer.
Yeah.